Hello and welcome to Getaway Day. My name is Gautam, his name is Mason, and opening day is upon us. And in fact, opening day has already happened once, but it's going to happen in full form this coming Thursday with almost every team in action. Every team will be in action by Friday. And we have a ton to discuss because we have not had a real discussion of spring training happenings. So we're going to try to touch on a number of those things, also talk about the Tokyo series, and get you all set for the 2025 MLB season. What do you say?
I'm in. I'm excited. I am going to Central Illinois tomorrow to be home for a little bit before opening day, going to Busch Stadium again. So this is kind of an amuse-bouche, if you will, to get ready for Thursday, the real opening day. Love that we're doing the Tokyo series. Not actually opening day, if you ask me. But let's what do you say we talk about that?
Yeah. Let's talk about the Tokyo series. So the Cubs and the Dodgers got together for 2 games last week. And there were also 4 exhibition games between a couple of Japanese teams and the Cubs and the Dodgers. Yomiuri Giants and Henshin Tigers, kind of actually historically significant teams from NPB getting to play at the Tokyo Dome, which is also a historic stadium. Looks super cool. Just decked out with people, just jam packed. That thing seats like 45,000 plus, and every single one of the games was absolutely full.
So I know that you were in Tokyo last week. Did you take a chance to walk around the Tokyo Dome?
I did not walk around the Tokyo Dome. I was so close to buying tickets to one of the exhibition games. I was like tracking it on my phone on StubHub. It would have cost a pretty penny, but I was like so close to doing it, and I'm kind of regretting it. But it would have hurt a little bit too. But it would have been an awesome experience, and I'm very jealous of everyone who got to check that out and in person and just see the different. It's a totally different like fan experience versus the MLB game. I think the fans in Japan are like more outwardly passionate at a game than MLB fans, and they've got like chants for their individual players. They are like standing for the majority of games. It's more like a football atmosphere, I would say, and
It kind of just reminds me more of like European football.
yeah, that too.
Because I mean, with the chance, with everybody being like as invested, like it in the States, like a lot of people will go to a game just to go to a game, drink a little bit, enjoy the game, but they're not as into it as some other countries and cultures seem to get with their sport. So it looked pretty cool from what I could see. Granted, it was at 3 a.m. for me because I was out on the West Coast for the last 3 months. So I did not get to watch any of it. But the Dodgers took both of the regular season games, correct?
Yep.
And Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus Shota Imanaga, game 1. That is a huge deal for just all the Japanese fans. I mean, this is the first game in Japan since 2019, I believe, when there were 2 games there that were the final 2 games of Ichiro's career. And then before that, I think it was 2000 and was it 2000?
No, they've had several more series in Japan since then. I know the first one was in the year 2000, and they've had like I think it's 5 different years that they've opened a season in Japan.
Okay, and then the one
but
that we opened in Korea as well last year. Right?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
And they've also opened other places like Australia and this and that. But there is a history of like series in Japan, and each one is a big deal. But this one was like the biggest deal, and it was because of Mr. Shohei Ohtani, who's just a national hero. I mean, he's kind of a national hero in our country too, but it's on a totally different level in Japan. And just like every street corner, Ohtani branded stuff, from green tea at the convenience store to, um, New Balance. And guy is just like killing it in all aspects of marketing right now. And he's killing it on the field too. He had a home run in their first exhibition game. And then he also hit a home run in game 2 game 2 of the regular season series. And I mean, what more can you say? Like he's performing in the big games too. It's like crazy.
Yeah, it's just absolutely nuts. And so there's 5 big name Japanese players that were in this series. This is, I think, the most we've ever had in like a Tokyo series out of any that have been over there.
Yeah.
But really, I think 5 Japanese players just in one game is kind of like the most that we've had in a long time for a major league game, if not
It's got to
ever.
be, yeah.
But yeah, so with Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki, who was, I don't think technically on the roster.
He made his major league debut. He started game 2.
Oh,
yes.
I didn't even realize that.
What? We texted about it.
Oh yeah, because we didn't start him in our fantasy league.
Correct. Yeah.
Like I said, this is. I'm
Hey,
now
I don't
starting
blame
to get my brain
you
back.
missed the games. Yeah.
It's like I'm now starting to get my brain back. This is
what a moment for him. Like, I mean, there's so many things to talk about from the series, but we'll just say that Roki Sasaki got to make his major league debut in his home country. Can you imagine the jitters that he must have been feeling for that game? Absolutely ridiculous. His first pitch was 100 miles per hour of his career, and he was all over the place, but you could clearly see how talented the guy was in some of his strikeouts that he was able to get, but then also 3 straight walks, a walk with the bases loaded. So there's good and bad, and that's to be expected of any major league guy making his debut. But under these circumstances, it's like extraordinary.
Yeah. Just the entire thing was incredible. And I mean, we see over here in the States, like everything that came along with it. Topps released Series 1 Tokyo edition, or Tokyo Series edition, and that sold like crazy. And the cards are awesome looking. They got I can't think of his first name. Something Murakami.
Yeah, he's a big artist.
Yeah, so they had him do some of the insert sets and all that, and it just, they look incredible. I actually got some of them myself. But Major League Baseball fanatics, they made out in this series. So this is a stat that you told me. I'm just going to regurgitate it, but so it was like $40 million of like total of like revenue from the Tokyo series here in the States and over in Japan. But out of all of the Japanese sales, 57% of all of the sales in Japan were specifically Shohei Ohtani gear.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like, we just gave 5 incredible Japanese players back to them in one series to go and watch, and they still went, yeah, no, Ohtani, please. Yeah, him. Yeah, not the other guys. Ohtani. And I just think that's incredible, just how big he is everywhere, especially in Japan.
Yeah, it's definitely something to watch, and I think we can do a whole probably topic on this. We'll table that for today, but just how scouting in Japan has changed and how it's become more of a focus for teams. Ohtani is helping push that along. I think we're going to see lots and lots more really good Japanese players coming to MLB over the next decade or so, and beyond. So, just something to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tokyo series is behind us. Now we've got stateside opening days, and a lot has happened in spring training as always. Kind of just made some categories of different things that have happened in spring training that always happen every year: extensions, injuries, unsettled situations, guys that make the team, and are kind of turning heads in spring games. Some job battles for starting pitching at the back end of rotations typically, and then some late signings and trades. So we've got a ton to get into. Let's get going here. So extensions. Some of the guys that got extended: Justin Martinez, Lawrence Butler, Jose Trevino, Alejandro Kirk, Tanner Bybee, Geraldo Perdomo. We'll start with the biggest ones, probably Tanner Bybee,
Tanner
who
Bybee.
has kind of.
So Bybee, 5-year, $48 million with a club option for 2030. So this is a big extension for a guy with 2 years of service time on the docket here. And Bybee has pretty quickly become the ace of this club. Like, Shane Bieber is still there, but I believe he's hurt for one.
Yeah.
Tommy John back a year ago, so he should be back soonish. But they kind of last year were trying to overcome a lot with a whole bunch of really young players that hadn't really pitched much. Bybee stepped up and earned this extension. I mean, last year, pre-WAR, 173 innings in a 3.470 ERA. Like, he was a workhorse for him last year. In this spring, he's looked incredible as well. So at 26 years old, like, he definitely earned himself that extension. I guess I'm a little surprised that it's maybe only 48 million and not closer to.
No, yeah, it's a steal. I think the takeaway is I don't know how Cleveland keeps getting guys to sign like really low dollar extensions, but it seems like that's something they've done in the past with other guys like Manuel Clase. I mean, his situation is a little bit different, but yeah, Bybee, even if he doesn't improve any further from what he is now, he's like a very, very good number 2, like borderline number 1 starter.
Yeah.
And if he does take a next step, then you're talking about like an ace at really low dollar values, and he would probably beat that number easily in arbitration as he progresses through that system.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I mean, it's an awesome deal for Cleveland.
100%.
Oh. Lawrence Butler. The A's are continuing to extend guys. It's actually cool. Like, they signed Brent Rooker earlier in the offseason, and now Lawrence Butler, an absolutely electric player with power and speed, was able to secure himself a 7-year deal, I believe.
7 years, 65.5 million with a 2032 club option. Now, his contract was set up a little interesting where they actually set it up so that it kind of followed the pattern of like your natural raises and arbitration. So this year he's only making just a little less than $3 million. But in 2031, in the final year of the contract, he'll be making 16.5 mil. So he's set himself up to be in a great position here. It is going to buy out 2 years of free agency there, but at 14.5 and then $16.5 million, like, it checks out. Like, it doesn't really seem like he's leaving a whole lot of money on the table, unless you were to say he maybe deserves a little bit more up front. But no, I mean, we've talked about Lawrence Butler already this offseason. I predict that he's going to be a 30-30 guy this year. Like, fantastic player at 24 years old to get this or give this option to, and hope that he's maybe the guy that kind of takes this A's team through now 2 cities, ideally, or 3 cities, ideally, because he played in Oakland last year. So just having someone that you can market and it's like, this is our guy throughout that entire process, that's huge for this team.
Yeah, and I would say that this is also in the same category as the Bybee one, where if he ends up being roughly the player you're expecting, then this is way below market. He would crush this deal in free agency. Obviously, he does not have the luxury of being a real free agent. He would be in arbitration, but that's why he signs the deal for his security. But I think this could end up being an absolute steal, like crazy contract that the A's are getting for Lawrence Butler.
Yeah.
And then 2 Diamondbacks extensions. Geraldo Perdomo got a 4-year extension, and Justin Martinez got a 5-year extension. The Perdomo one is kind of interesting because Perdomo is not a star player at all. He's kind of like he's an okay starting caliber player, provides good defense at shortstop, gets on base a lot, but he's not an elite player by any means. It's just interesting that they made this move despite having Jordan Lawler being on the precipice of reaching the majors, becoming a starting player. And I'm curious to see what that means for Jordan Lawler's long-term futures. Does that mean that they're trying to move him off the position, or is this just a signing where Perdomo is like it becomes more of a depth piece or moves off the shortstop position?
So I actually think it's neither. What I think is happening is, so this is only 4-year, 45 million starting next year. This year he's playing on his 1-year, $5 million contract that he had, 1-year, $2.5 million contract that he signed. There we go. And then the extension kicks in next year. Well, this is the final year of Eugenio Suarez. So that opens up third base, which Jordan Lawler also plays third base. So what I'm thinking is they're probably going to leave Geraldo Perdomo, who is a great defensive player. They're probably going to leave him in at shortstop as a pretty price effective shortstop option there for superior defense. He's got great rapport with Ketel Marte over at second. And then you bring Lawler up and have him man your hot corner. And that's kind of where you're expecting to see all those at-bats settle in. It's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And then Justin Martinez is an electric young reliever. I think he's like 23 or 24. He throws well over 100 miles per hour. He's kind of like in the Jordan Hicks mold where he throws like a super hard sinker. And last year he kind of broke out in partly, like maybe he hasn't had his full breakout, but he was getting like save opportunities by the end of the season. But the Diamondbacks have another guy who's an awesome reliever in AJ Puck. So that's kind of been a battle of spring. Who's the closer in Arizona? But Justin Martinez, this one just makes a ton of sense for the Diamondbacks to lock down a guy that could become an elite closer. We don't even know if he's going to be the closer immediately, but probably eventually he will be that guy.
Yeah, and then if he does turn into that guy, and with staying power, and just the ability to have a pretty lengthy relief career, he does have a couple of pretty big club options there at the back of this contract as well, with $8 million in 2030 or 2031, and then $9 million in 2032, both club options. So there is a potential for them to get a pretty big steal on the back end if he is one of those closers with staying power.
Yeah, this sounds exactly like the Emmanuel Clase deal from 4 years ago or so, where they had the club options on top of like a 5-year really low dollar deal. Injuries. This is less fun stuff to talk about, but it does open up the door for some interesting players for sure. So we got to start with the big pitching injuries that seem to always strike at some time in spring training. So Garrett Cole, that's the biggest one. He's out for the season. Tommy John surgery. Definitely going to miss 2025, probably miss some of 2026. That's a major, major blow. I can't think of another bigger loss that any team's had this year. The Yankees lose their ace.
I would say the only bigger loss would be the Yankees not re-signing Soto.
So they've had the two biggest losses of the offseason.
Yeah. And I don't even think I'm joking when I say that. Like, this is a big hit.
Yeah.
So,
do you think they can survive it, or are they really struggling to?
I mean, I think they'll be able to
now?
survive it. I think they've done a decent enough job trying to fill in a little bit of offensive production with guys like Cody Bellinger, bringing in Paul Goldschmidt, who's probably going to rebound off of last year. So that helps on that side. On the pitching side, I mean, Garrett Cole was hurt for the first like two months last year, and then never really got back to his ace self during the season. The bigger thing here that's going to be the problem is the injury to Luis Heel.
Yeah, right.
His heel last year won the Rookie of the Year. His first half was impeccable. Second half a little bit back down to earth, but still good enough that he ended up winning the Rookie of the Year.
And Luis Heel was the guy that actually replaced Garrett Cole when he was out in 2024.
Yep.
Now you're relying on guys like Marcus Stroman, Will Warren, Carlos Carrasco even. And that's way worse than a guy like Heel who's insanely talented.
Well, and let's not forget Clark Schmidt is also starting on the IL.
Oh, yeah, he's hurt too, yeah. That's why Carrasco has to pitch.
So 3 of their starting rotation are all starting the year on the injured list. Now, Clark Schmidt is going to be the first one back. It's shoulder fatigue. So he'll rest for a bit, then build back up, and I'm going to guess that's what they're going to try and do with him. And then Heel with a strained lat will probably be next, and then JT Brubaker will be the next guy that comes back, and then Cole in a year and a half. We'll see how he goes.
Yeah, and I hate to like pile on here, but the other guy that's healthy in the rotation is Carlos Rodon, one of the least healthy pitchers ever.
Yeah.
Like, the guy's been constantly hurt, so he's a major injury risk at all times.
Really, the only guy in this rotation that I feel fairly confident about is Max Fried, who's also no stranger to injuries.
He's had his own injuries the last few years too, so yeah, it's very precarious in New York right now.
Yeah.
Okay. The Orioles, they're missing their best hitter and possibly their best pitcher. Gunnar Henderson's going to miss the start of the season with the intercostal strain. And then Grayson Rodriguez, I believe, has a triceps injury.
Grayson is a
oblique or something.
Elbow inflammation.
Oh, God. Okay.
Which is not a great sign for
no,
starting
I hate
pitcher.
Both of these injuries because anytime a hitter has like an oblique intercostal strain type thing, it's like, you never know if it's healed or not until you start swinging your bat full speed, and you can't really do that until you feel like you're safe, and you don't know quite when that might be because you can't test it. And then, obviously I don't need to describe that elbow issues for pitchers are very bad.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is a team that has Tyler Wells out with a UCL surgery. Kyle Bradish out with Tommy John. Grayson now has elbow inflammation. So, and then Chase McDermott with the strained lat, and Trevor Rogers with kneecap subluxation. So they have an entire rotation on the IL as well. Not
to mention, they have now 3 pitchers that are over the age of 35, and Charlie Morton, Tomo Sugano, and now newly signed Kyle Gibson. Yeah. So is it more precarious in New York or Baltimore's rotation?
I mean,
this one's worse, right?
I would say Baltimore, because Baltimore's floor is a lot lower here.
It's extremely low. I mean,
like Dean Kremer's back. That's big. Yeah. Like, he's not the biggest mover and shaker in the starting pitching industry, but Dean Kremer is a solid pitcher. Yes. So getting him back and healthy is huge. Now, Charlie Morton, it seems, is usually always healthy, but he's turning 42.
Yeah.
So Cade Povich gets the nod here at the beginning of the season, and pretty sure he earned his spot here.
He did.
But at the same time, it's like, if this rotation were healthy, would Povich have got the opportunity? And it kind of feels like maybe not, but they probably wouldn't have signed Kyle Gibson at that point. They probably would have. There's a whole bunch of things going on. But Cade Povich is maybe the guy to watch here. And if he goes well and Dean Kremer is okay, then I think this can hold together until Grayson is back. Now, if Grayson's elbow inflammation turns into something worse, we're going to have a different conversation here in the future.
Yeah, and I guess this is a reminder that it never takes 5, right? It always takes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus starters.
15.
The Dodgers just won the World Series with the most starting pitchers they've ever used in a season, and they basically had none of their main starters like in the playoffs. So it's possible. It just obviously makes the road tougher. Um, Continue our tour of injured AL East teams. Shane McClanahan is going to start the season on the IL with the triceps nerve inflammation type thing. So luckily, it's not seeming like it's related to the UCL surgery, but they're missing their top guy now.
Yeah, which that is huge. And I will say though that triceps discomfort in those nerves. I tore a bicipital tendon back in high school, and I mean it has been a problem for me ever since. But
Yeah,
my entire uh, my entire forearm and my fingers go numb because of a tear way up here. So there's nerves that go all the way through your elbow, all the way up. It is possible that this nerve is right in here at the elbow. So inflammation on
yeah.
that nerve could be from something else. It sounds
That's
like
why I kind of
it's
said like seemingly unrelated, but I know they're all related. They're all connected, right?
yeah.
Everything
So
is linked.
I'm sure they did an MRI on it, so it's probably good news that they could see what is swollen and it's something not UCL related. But I mean, we were just getting him back.
Yeah, and he was looking really good in spring too. He's kind of looking like himself.
So frustrating.
Yes. Yeah.
Remember
And then I guess
remember that time that you and I watched both Shohei and Shane McClanahan pitch in the same game?
that was pretty cool. Yeah. Um, George Kirby. He is also battling some shoulder inflammation. I don't know if there's a timetable for his return. The Mariners are obviously built on their starting pitching, and they were like the team that used the fewest number of starters, I think, last year, and
You say they
that's
were at like
not going
what
to happen.
6 or 7?
They basically used like 6 guys with Emerson Hancock being the number 6, and
Yeah.
now he's back in the rotation, and he's obviously a big step down from George Kirby, and it's unfortunate because that's the that's the Mariners' path to success is continue to just get amazing production from their amazing starting rotation.
Yeah. And I mean, luckily they'll probably be able to hold together because they do have an incredible pitching staff.
Yes. Yeah.
With Luis Castillo still doing his thing, 32 years old. Logan Gilbert, who is has been their ace. I think George Kirby is surpassing him, but like he's full on ace himself.
Yeah. I think he's like a
So
top 5 pitcher in the league.
yeah, so they legitimately have a two-way situation. So you lose one, it's a big deal, but you still have 4 of the top 30 pitchers in the league.
Yeah, easily.
And then Emerson Hancock, who's I know you don't really love him, but he's at a number 5 temporarily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a bad situation. Yeah.
No, so this is
It's
maybe the one that I think will be the most okay for the team that has to deal with it. It's just really frustrating to see for fans because you want to see George Kirby healthy.
yeah. I think things get dicey when another guy gets injured because then I'm not sure the Mariners have the depth of starting pitchers that are like available at AAA.
Yeah, I don't think so. Let me see if
They've
there's
got one
anybody that
guy, Logan Evans, that's close,
I
but
was
other
gonna.
than him, couldn't name another starter in their system.
The only other name that I recognize is Casey Lawrence. There's also the other Luis Castillo. Oh, Casey
Okay.
Lawrence is 38. That's why I recognize his name. So no, not him. Oh God. Yeah, no, they don't have anybody after the Maybe we could get Durangelo up quickly.
Let's go.
22-year-old switch pitcher debuting this year. Who says no?
Yeah, who says no? All right. And then should we do any other ones from this list?
I don't think so.
We'll get to them in some way or
Yeah.
form later. All right. So we talked about D-backs closer situation a little bit. The Reds have a bit of a conundrum here with their bullpen because Edwin Diaz has got himself hurt, and before that,
Not Edwin.
then he was not Edwin.
The other one,
Alexis. Yeah,
gonna say
Edwin's
wrong
brother.
team here, bud. You just pulled a me.
Hey, they're brothers at least. Come on.
You just pulled a me.
Okay, so Alexis Diaz is hurt, and he was also kind of ineffective last year. He was not great, and he was looking horrible in spring. I don't know if that was just hamstring related or something else that he's not been able to get his mechanics right, and he's sort of been on the hot seat. Terry Francona has publicly kind of been throwing him under the bus, saying that he's not necessarily locked in with Diaz as his closer. And now you look to the remaining guys, and it's like it's hard to figure out what the Reds are doing because they've got quite a few names. Guys like Taylor Rogers that's done it before. They've got a younger guy like Tony Santillan who probably is a future closer, and then kind of the deep sleeper is Graham Ashcraft, who's becoming a reliever for the first time. He's the guy with the most exciting stuff as a reliever because he was already throwing like 100 as a starter. So if they unleash him in one inning stints, I think he could be like an awesome closer. Honestly, it's just he's never done it before. So I find it hard to believe that Terry Francona is going to be like Graham Ashcraft's our closer on day one. Do you have any thoughts on the Reds here?
Only guy that I would really maybe trust here at the beginning of the season is Taylor Rogers, and that's only because you know what he can do. Yeah. Now, obviously, he wasn't as, or no, I guess that was a trade that brought him in. Thinking it was
he got traded, but he also was not as sharp as he's been in years past. It seems like he's kind of on the backside of his career.
I was going to say he's got essentially 9 full seasons on his arm as a reliever. Yeah. He throws, or he's a lefty. Is he the one that throws kind of Submariner, or is that his brother?
That's his brother.
That's his brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. The righty.
Yeah. Tyler?
Yep, Tyler.
Because then there's the other Rogers that's not related.
So the Reds' Nick Kral's strategy is trade for the brothers that are not as good.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So we're going to see Victor Mesa soon, probably.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Actually, now I'm remembering that Scott Barlow's on this team, and he actually probably pitched for Terry Francona in Cleveland years ago. So he's also a guy that has closing experience with the Royals. I don't know. He could be a guy.
Yeah, well, it's also possible they're not going to go with a true closer as well. I mean, maybe Tito not, feels like a guy that will.
He's pretty old school. I think he likes the set closer.
Yeah, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like until they get Alexis Diaz back that they necessarily have a guy that has the talent to do it.
Yeah.
So.
And then this Red Sox situation, which I find fascinating. So second base is kind of an open position, and they've got Christian Campbell, who's one of their top prospects, one of the top prospects in baseball. And then they had other guys like Vaughn Grissom, who just got optioned, and then David Hamilton, who played some second base and some shortstop last year. He's kind of more of a hit tool / speed guy and really good defender, Hamilton. And it looks like the Red Sox have gone with Christian Campbell, even though he did not have like a good spring performance. So they truly believe in him. They easily could have just sent him down and gone with David Hamilton, but they're deciding to go with Christian Campbell right off the bat, which I'm a bit surprised by because you usually don't see a team do that right away if the guy struggles in spring.
Yeah, and like his 56 plate appearances here this spring, he's only hit 174. Now, he's been on base a lot. He's got a 304 OBP. That's a pretty significant difference there in average and OBP. So I wonder if they're doing this as like a we trust he's going to get on base. I mean, he walks over 10% of the time throughout his minor league career. In this spring, he's walking right about on par with what he did in the minors. Granted, it's also spring and pitchers aren't exactly locked in. So that might not be the case here soon, but he's got a high enough pedigree. He's got a long enough track record in the minors of success that I don't know. I guess I kind of get it. The big thing here is that he's striking out way more than he usually.
Yeah, and isn't David Hamilton having a good spring also?
Now that I don't know.
I'm just looking that up. But the my point on the Red Sox is like this team could be like really, really good offensively and pitching wise, but just on in their lineup, adding Alex Bregman, obviously you got a superstar in Devers, and then
You had a Casas that was coming around finally. A
yep,
Jaron Duran who was incredible last year.
yeah, you have all those guys, and then if you get some bounce back from like Trevor Story, and then the contributions from the younger players like Campbell, and then Roman
Wilyer
Anthony when he
Abreu.
finally Willie Abreu, they legitimately may have like some sort of logjam. Someone's got to lose out here because when 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 Campbell and Roman Anthony and Sidon Rafaela, when Yoshida comes back from his injury, what's going to happen? You know, they got like
So
a lot of
they
guys.
they actually told Yoshida that he is going to have to be in the field.
Yeah, he has
Um
to be,
and
especially if Devers has to DH.
And honestly, I think that means that Wilyer Abreu and Rob Refsnyder, whoever he ends up splitting time with, they're going to lose out the most. It's going to be Masataki comes in and plays right field because I doubt they want him playing left, trying to deal with the monster. They'll
I
let.
thought that's supposed to be the easy one to play.
I mean, when you're playing it off the wall, not necessarily. And he played 1 inning in the field last year.
Yeah, yeah,
One.
he was a DH,
Yeah.
and he played. He play left field in 23.
I believe so. So
Yeah.
maybe they will do that, but I don't know. It just I feel
But you
like
see what I'm saying,
yeah,
right?
it's
Like
like you
when
don't
Roman Anthony shows up, then he's got to play the field too.
yeah, and like so Roman Anthony is just an outfielder, right?
Right, yeah.
Cuz I know Christian Campbell is a middle infielder and outfielder.
And I think but his position seems like it's going to be second base.
Yeah, which still would put Trevor Story at second base, but not my call. So, um
Yeah. And Sidon Rafaela is there. He's the other part of this equation. Like he
yeah, and
cannot be
I
just
feel like he's just the center fielder, period. There's no
what about Duran?
Well, Duran's going to be in
That's what I'm
right
saying.
probably at that point. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
It's a very tricky one.
because I mean, right field there, yeah, you got the pesky pole, but that's a big right field still. So I feel like Jaron would be really good to have out in right. And with the short wall, him making some leaps up and getting that, I feel like that's not a bad deal. Let
Yeah.
Sedan play center, and then just whoever's left, I guess, just tell him to go take practice off the monster every day.
I
So
think these situations usually work themselves out, but this one to me feels like a little bit different that they could actually have some guy that they just cannot get playing time, and it's going to be
now,
interesting to see who that guy is.
where this might work itself out would be if Tristan Casas is not able to continue doing what he was doing at the end of last
Yeah.
If Casas is not performing, then you put Devers at first, or you put insert name at first, and that's how you get those at bats for these other guys. But yeah, I mean, I don't love it. The other thing is if Story gets hurt, which isn't too ridiculous of a thought, like it'll end up working itself out. But yeah,
Yep.
I'm with you here. This is kind of a weird situation.
A bit, yeah.
I would just I'm not gonna go deep into it, but I didn't realize that the Red Sox were another team that has an entire rotation on the IL.
Oh, that's true, right? Like Richard Fitz and Sean Newcomb made their rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They have
because
Brian Bayo, Cutter Crawford, Lucas Giolito, Chris Murphy, and Patrick Sandoval, all in the
yep,
IL.
yes, it's like that whole division except the
Blue Jays?
what's the other team? The Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Blue Jays are the
okay.
only ones.
That could be a little bit of an advantage. That could make the difference between a place in that division, you know?
It could.
Okay. Uh, let's go on to some guys that have stepped up in spring and have made teams. Um, this is always a fun part of spring training when someone either comes out of nowhere or sort of lives up to their prospect hype and has a great spring and everybody's feeling good. Like, wow, this guy's really good. And he made the team based on his performance. Let's start with Jackson Jobe, who's the number 5 starter for the Tigers. I feel like somehow Jackson Jobe is really like underrated and forgotten. People forget that he was like, I mean, he is kind of like the best pitching prospect in the game right now.
Yeah.
And
But
he already made his debut. I think people are maybe down on him is because he wasn't great in the like 4 innings that he pitched last year. And people forget that this guy's like crazy talented and top 5
so
pick in the draft.
I honestly don't think it's necessarily that so much as this is a Detroit team that had not really been able to develop any pitchers for a long time. So people were kind of starting to count him out. And then Scooble just took off. And so now people are just like Scooble's the guy and they're just purely tunnel vision on Scooble and they forget that they do have Jackson Jobe coming up. And Jackson Jobe is very 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 incredibly talented. He's a little bit like a right-handed version of a Scooble. It, like but he got a little bit of action at the end of last year. He came in the postseason and he showed signs of being great. And then he also had a couple of rough outings. And I think everyone just has that one big rough relief outing in their head. And they're like, okay, he's not got it. But this is a team that trusted him enough to put him on a postseason roster with almost no experience. I think he
Yep.
had one appearance before that, if he even debuted in the regular season. I don't remember if he did.
Yeah, he had like 2 or 4 innings or something.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I have his page pulled up here. Yeah, he 2 games, 4 innings, and yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
um,
No, but I'm just happy that the Tigers are doing it right away because they could have taken the easy path and just said, okay, Kenta Maeda as the starter or whatever. Like he'll pitch for a little bit, and Job can come later. But they're just like going right into it, and I kind of love the Tigers' rotation as it sits on paper right now. With Scooble, of course, like up top, they brought back Jack Flaherty. They've got Reese Olson, who's another young talented pitcher, and then they've got
Casey Mize.
Casey Mize, who's looking like back to the like he's looking like the best version of Casey Mize that we've seen. He's another one of their failed pitching prospects, but he's still got time now to um, give it one last go as a starter and see what he can do. I mean, he's looking fantastic in the spring.
Yeah. And this is a team that has a little bit of depth here for pitching as well, not uh if I'm remembering correctly, because like Hader Montero is
Yep.
pretty much ready to be there as soon as they need him. Matt Manning is it never ended up being what they thought he was going to be, but he's there and can help support a little bit if there's some injuries, and they have some options here for some other guys, including they've got 4 pitchers all on the IL, and then Alex Lang in the relief staff. But
oh yeah, I forgot Alex Cobb was there, and then they just signed Jose Urquidy like a couple weeks ago. I'm pretty sure.
Roster Resource needs to fix the injury/surgery date, because for Urquidy it says that his Tommy John was on June 5th, 2025.
Oh no, it's a premonition.
Yeah,
Poor guy's gonna get another Tommy John.
I don't know that I like that. Oh yeah, Alex Cobb. That's who I was thinking. Hip inflammation. Yeah. So he'll be back at some point, but
yeah,
like they do have a pretty good amount of depth here. This is maybe the highest I've been on a Tigers team in a while.
I'm kind of excited for this team. Okay. Who else we got on our list here? So Cam Smith. Okay, so this is the guy. This is like the hot name of spring for prospects, because just how fast he's making his ascent through the minor leagues. This guy's not even played at AAA. He got drafted by the Cubs in 2024 in the first round, rocketed up like through low A, high A, double A, and then he got traded to the Astros in the big Tucker deal. And now, without any more minor league games, he is just killing it in spring training, and the Astros are pretty much ready to give him the right field job. And that's not even a position that he's ever played before. He's a third baseman by trade. And I guess, bat's so good. He looks ready. We've seen guys like this before, and it doesn't always pan out. But there's a chance that Cam Smith's like an absolute stud player.
I mean, there's 2 ways this could go. It works out great, or it turns into Jordan Walker, which could still pan out. Like, jury's out on that. He's also only 23, so they're very much in a similar situation. Cam Smith just hasn't been on the field yet, so we don't know how that's going to start. So he's also right-handed, which is a little bit different.
What? Jordan Walker's right-handed?
No. You're right. I'm thinking Gorman. My bad.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting, though, that does this seem a little like a desperate move by the Astros?
A little bit.
Like, why rush this? I mean, you got Chas McCormick. Maybe he's not the greatest player, but why not let him get the first crack at it? You can just bring up Cam Smith later.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really get it from that perspective. Like, putting him in a new position that he's only played in spring of this year.
And he's literally played like 8 games at double A. Like, give the guy at least a month in triple A. And if he's raking, like, I get it. Just call him up. It's not a big deal.
I mean, I guess the thing is, like, he hit 371, 450, 771 in spring. And, like, that is major league level talent that he's facing about a third of the time. To maybe half the time there towards the end. But, like, he was knocking him around. He's got 4 home runs. Like, he definitely seems like he can do it. And if they just truly believe in him that much, that they think that he could potentially be Rookie of the Year, that's why they're making.
That's true. Yeah, that's a very good point.
I think they have this much faith in him to be able to do that. That's the reasoning. But otherwise, yeah, you're right. Like, if you're not confident that he's going to be top 3 Rookie of the Year to get you a pick, like, don't do it. Yeah.
So from that perspective, I see the case for it a little bit more, because, it's cool that young players are now more likely to break rosters, because that incentive is so high to have a high finisher in Rookie of the Year.
It's
like, why not?
It's comp round B?
Yeah, it's essentially like a first round pick.
Oh, so it's comp round A. Comp round B is after second round.
I guess I don't know for sure. But whatever it is, it's a first round or a second round pick. It's really, really valuable. Victor Scott. So Victor Scott was kind of Cam Smith last year, right? Like he killed it in spring. He won the job out of spring training, and then he just flopped on his face. Like he was awful with the
Yeah, and I
Cardinals. He
mean,
went down to the minor leagues. He had
he
a really bad
also
season there.
he also kind of only earned a bench role as well because I think he was on the club. Did he get the opening day start?
Pretty sure he did. Yeah.
But he didn't have a very long leash, and then they sent him down and
No,
had Siani take
absolutely
over.
not.
But yeah. Well, and the thing with Victor Scott is he was a guy that they knew that he didn't have power. He was a great fielder. And so they were hoping that because we didn't have any options that were great defensive center fielders that could also hit, they kind of just tried to go with this whole defensive thing up the middle. And so yeah, it made sense to me that they brought him up. But then now he's looking incredible. He hit his 5th spring home run yesterday. Or yeah. Yeah, he hit his 5th spring home run yesterday. 5 steals. He's actually making like significant contact, which he didn't even like. His contact tool in AAA last year was also abysmal. He hit 210 in AAA, 179 in the majors. This spring he's hitting over 350. And it just looks like he's changed up his approach a little bit. He's changed up his swing. He's lofting the ball a little bit more. I think he put on a little bit of muscle mass, and he's just looking like a different guy. And like he's getting the opening day starting role again, which is awesome to see. So I'm so excited. I'm going to be sitting kind of in the gap between center and right on Thursday for opening day. So excited.
Yeah, no, I think it is exciting to see changes coming to fruition. Obviously, we need to remember that we're talking about 49 at bats, and he just came off a really bad season too. I mean, I think that season shows that like last year's season shows that it feels like it was the outlier season of his career because he was on this sort of trajectory of getting better and better each season. He had a bad season,
And
whatever
I mean,
that happens.
like he had a pretty good college career as well. And like he was drafted at 21 after his junior year of college. And like he wasn't ever like an absolute slam dunk prospect. He's like in the system, he's top 5, but he was never a top 100 prospect. And he was never really expected to be. And so him just making the roster at all as an opening day starter is huge. And so anything that we get above kind of or like at the level we're getting now, it's an absolute steal of a player.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime, I mean, the offensive bar for center fielder is not that high. I mean, there's not a lot of really good offensive center fielders out there. If he's even like roughly average,
And Aaron Judge is incredible.
I mean, we haven't even talked about his best trait, and that's his speed.
Yeah.
The guy's like probably the fastest player in the league, if not like at least top 5 fastest player in the league. He stole 94 bases in 2023.
So in his senior or his last year of college, 55 games. Do you know how many stolen bases he had?
100? I don't know.
38.
Okay.
In 55 games. That's
yeah,
a lot of steals.
Yeah, 94 steals in 132 games in the minors in 2023. So, I mean, yeah, if he's a good center field defender and he's providing base path value, then he doesn't have to do that much.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be at the back of the lineup. So
he's reminding me of David Hamilton a little bit.
But he'll be at the back of the lineup, and honestly, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So
okay, who else we got here? Max Muncy and Drake Baldwin. I'm putting them together because they would likely not be debuting if not for injuries ahead of them. So in the Braves case, Sean Murphy like broke his ribs or something. That guy just cannot catch a break, it seems. And Drake Baldwin is next man up to catch for the Braves. And this is a really tough spot because catchers take a long time to develop. They're usually not like plug and play starters from day one. Like there are a few guys like that, but most likely Drake Baldwin is going to struggle out of the gate if I were to guess. But the thing is, Drake Baldwin has been like really good as a hitter at
Yeah.
AAA.
And that's kind of where my question comes in. Like he's never had a problem hitting across any level, including in college. And so from 2021 when he was at Missouri State until last year, he has raked at all levels. Like the worst average that he had was in 100 plate appearances at single A, where he hit 247. Like, when that's your lowest of your career across all of those levels, all right, there's some tools there. Because even when you're struggling, you're pretty solid.
Yeah.
And like last year, he just absolutely mashed at AAA. So yeah, I don't have too many concerns about him from a hitting standpoint, but
it's more defense. Is that your question?
like is he a good defender? Is he like where are we at with him?
Yeah, I honestly don't know the answer to that question. We're going to find out, and I think we'll find out based on how they play him. If he gets like the lion's share of the playing time, then they feel comfortable with him as a defender. Who's their backup catcher, by the way? Chadwick Trump,
I think
apparently. So he's like your typical backup catcher, and he's most likely a better defender than Drake Baldwin. So if you see him playing like 50% of the time, then that tells me what I need to know about Drake Baldwin right now as a catcher. And that's where like all the learning happens, right? That's what makes the catching job so hard for young players because they have to learn their defensive responsibilities while they're learning how to hit major league pitching. So it's like double duty.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is that in the minors, he has pretty much caught every game he's played. Like he's played some at DH, but like for the most part, he's playing like 40 games a year at DH and all the rest catching. Like he 530 innings at high A in 2023. And like he caught in 2023, he caught like 650 innings or something like that. Same thing in 2024. Like he's getting a lot of time behind the dish. So, I mean, at that point, you would think if he were struggling defensively, especially
but he's like a
closer
top
to AAA,
prospect. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to like back off his catching playing time in the minors, though.
Not necessarily, but you would think at some point they would maybe closer to AAA, they would start to have him DHing or maybe trying to play another position as well if the bat is that good and the defense at catcher was not. You'd be like, okay, let's try him at first a little bit and see what happens. They didn't do that. Like he's only caught, and then days to keep him off his knees, he's DH'd. So it kind of feels like stolen bases are maybe his rough spot. Because in AAA, there have been 54 stolen bases against him to 11 caught stealings. What's that rate? That's 17% caught stealing rate.
A little bit low.
Yeah, so
something like that.
So that kind of feels like maybe it's his struggle point. Pass balls, not really a big problem for him. So
okay, yeah, I think we both don't really know the answer to this question, but we're gonna find out.
Oh, but yeah. And then the other guy that same situation though, Max Muncy, or not the Max Muncy that you're all thinking, because he's an old DH for Dodgers, but this Max Muncy drafted, I believe, 4 years ago, out of high school, 2021, 25th overall pick by the then Oakland Athletics. Um, and he's raked at every level, really. He struggled a little bit in complex league ball, and that's really about it. He's been a good hitter everywhere else, and while he's a third baseman and shortstop primarily, that Geloff is hurt, and so there's now a hole at second base. So, Max Muncy, it's your time. Have fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like it because, like you said, good minor league numbers, kind of high strikeout rates, but he he just offers more like upside than the other like stopgap type guys that the A's have. Like even if Geloff hadn't got hurt, I feel like he would have been the guy at third base eventually because he's so much better than like a Giovanni Urshela or a Luis Arias. I mean, those are not exciting options. Max Muncy, at least, like, he's got the first round pedigree. I don't know how good he's going to be, but like, this is just getting his career started a little bit earlier.
Well, and he is like one of their top 3 prospects as well.
Yeah.
So like his prospect pedigree is pretty solid still, even outside of just he was a first round pick. So I think there's a lot of hope there. The organization seems to like him. I know fans love him. Like he's a fan favorite at the major league level without even being on the major league. Like there's been a lot of people just hoping that he would get his shot, and I think people hoped he was going to come up last year. Obviously didn't happen, but will be interesting to see.
Yes, indeed. You want to do some starting pitchers? Let's see. We've kind of talked about Povich. We talked about Will Warren a little bit. Casey Mize. We got to talk about Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, who are both going to be starting in the major league rotation due to injuries to Cody Bradford and
John
Gray. So these two guys have been talked about for how many years? I mean, when's the first time we talked about these guys on this podcast? It's probably 4 years ago.
It was when they were still at Vandy and they threw like back-to-back no-hitters or whatever.
Exactly.
So that would have been 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah, probably. But now is the time. So with Rocker, he made his debut last year, late in the year, and looked pretty good. Like he was not going deep into these starts, but he had like swing and miss stuff. And his big thing is just, I think, building up to like starters workload and being able to go 6 innings in a start. But the talent's there. Like this guy's going to be a really good starting pitcher, I think.
Yeah. He had a really weird career too, because it was actually 2021 when we were talking about him, our very first year doing this podcast.
Yeah.
But like he was drafted 10th overall by the Mets, didn't sign, didn't really play that next year. So like he's only
he had a Tommy John in there too. So.
Yeah. Last season he pitched a total of 737, 74, 85 innings last year across all levels, after pitching only 28 in 2023. So, yeah, I think you're pretty much right on that building up is going to be the problem here, because he's not pitched an entire workload since...
Ever, really.
Yeah,
I mean, college was the only time that he pitched the most innings.
122 innings at Vandy in 2021.
Yep.
So, but Jack Leiter, on the other hand, has had a significant amount of time on the mound, more than Rocker, but even he's not been like that durable.
And more than the durability, his has been more like performance. He's never really got it going. Like he showed flashes, but he's never really sustained it. He's never had. I can't think of any stretch where Jack Leiter like made 3 good starts in a row or anything like that in his entire career in college. Yeah,
that's it.
But now what I've heard is that Jack Leiter's completely revamped his pitch mix, and he now has 5 pitches. So he's going for like a wider arsenal approach to help him.
Isn't
Obviously he's
control
really
kind of his problem though?
yeah, it seems weird, right? Like you would think like, hey, Jack, just focus on your 2 or 3 pitches and do them really well, but
do you know
I
what
guess he's going 5.
Do you know what his walk rate has
It's
been?
not good. It's horrible. Yeah, he has horrible control.
It's over 10%.
Yes.
Yeah, like when you just look at walks per 9 and it's 5.4, 5.2, 5.4, 5.2, and then in 2024 4.1
Yeah.
and 4.3. So it improved in 2024. But
The only thing I can
that is
think is like
rough.
maybe he'll have 5 pitches, but he'll try to figure out like early in a start which pitches he has in that day, and then he has some backups to go to that maybe he has better command of.
That's possible.
But I guess I'm a little bit. I still want to give Jack Leiter the benefit of the doubt because he is so supremely talented. It's just like he's got to do it now, right? He's
Yeah.
had a lot of chances now, and he's not really produced. I'm more excited about Rocker, personally.
But either way, like starter workload is going to be rough for Leiter too. I wouldn't be shocked if they go to, I mean, even for just the rest of the rotations,
6-man
health. Yeah, if they go to 6-man and then have pitch limits on these guys this year, because Leiter has only thrown 110 innings in a season. So yeah, like he in all of 2023 he threw 85. Last year he threw 110. So you're definitely not getting a full season out of him this year.
Nope. Yeah. And then they've already got the injury concerns to start the year, not to mention they've got Jacob deGrom in their rotation. They got Nate Eovaldi in their rotation. They've got older guys with injury pasts.
So I think they have about 3 months worth of starting pitchers.
They've got to spread that through the whole 6-month season somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. It's like when you don't have enough peanut butter for your toast. It's like
that's a rough situation.
It's not good.
Yeah, patchy toast. Like there's just
yeah, all the bites don't taste as good then.
Yeah, can't do it.
Okay. Let's do one discussion about one weird trade that happened between the Rockies and the Guardians. So Nolan Jones, who got traded to Colorado like 3 years ago, has now been traded back to Cleveland for Tyler Freeman.
Was it even 3 years ago? I thought it was 2 years ago, and then he just immediately became the first baseman and was incredible. And then last year he
wasn't
sucked.
a first baseman. He was an outfielder.
Or left field, right field. Yeah. I don't know.
No, it was a few years ago. But anyways, we never talk about the Rockies on these episodes. We're trying to give them some spotlight here. What are the Rockies doing with this trade?
I don't know.
I feel like Nolan Jones was like the talented guy that they had. It hasn't necessarily been smooth sailing. He was horrible last year and he was injured for most of the year. But like he was their best player in limited action in 2023. He was like a 4-WAR guy. And you trade that guy away for some random middle infield prospect that's not that great.
Well, like, so Tyler Freeman at the major league level has only played in the outfield.
Okay, yeah.
And to be honest, they don't need a middle infielder either because they have.
They do. They need a second baseman. I think this is why they made this trade.
Well, I thought they had.
They had Tyro Estrada, but he just broke his wrist.
No, I thought they had a young guy. Because they have Ezequiel Tovar at short, and then I thought there was
No, they signed.
Don't they have a second base prospect that was ready?
Amador, maybe.
Yeah, Adel Amador. There we go.
But he wasn't going to be the starter to start the season.
Should be. They have no
It was
reason
going to
not
be,
to.
I mean, they're the Rockies. That's the reason.
Yeah, but that's a dumb reason.
Well, that's the Rockies.
Yeah, don't get me into full meltdown about them again.
Yeah, sorry. Those are bad responses. It's just saying that they're the Rockies. But I mean, what I see is that they gave up on Nolan Jones. Like they didn't think that he was a solution to their problems, and they decided to get the stopgap guy in Freeman. Not that Freeman couldn't be a good player. I just don't see like star potential there. With Nolan Jones, we actually saw it. Even if it was just for like a half a season, it was there. It exists. He's exhibited those skills.
Yeah.
Like, why do you get rid of that?
Like it was a full 425 ABs. Like it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it
It
was a
was 2/3 of a
significant amount of
season
time.
essentially. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. Also, I don't understand how his average dropped as much as it did between the last two seasons because his walk rate and strikeout rate were pretty much the same.
He was
Uh,
super lucky in 2023 to be fair. Like I think he was rocking something like a 400 BABIP.
it was, but he was still rocking
Yeah.
a 333 last year. So how did he hit 227?
Yeah. He had good luck one year and really bad luck the next year.
Isn't 333 still pretty normal?
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
But oh well, I think the power last year was the problem. Actually, you know what? Probably what it was. He didn't hit a home run last year. Although he hit 3 home runs last year. 300 ABs.
Wow. Yeah. So he was like really bad.
Yeah.
But
Like he
still
just
not a
got
guy I want to give up on that quickly. It's just
No,
weird.
it's like he's likely just skying it when he hits it.
Yeah.
Like you could fix that. I don't know.
Yeah. It'd be really funny to me if Nolan Jones ends up being like the best outfielder on Cleveland or something this year.
Ends up being the superstar that replaces Jose Ramirez when he retires.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So that was a lot of spring training stuff in a short amount of time. We're already kind of going long here, but do you want to give your bold prediction for 2025?
Yes. So I think my bold prediction is that the Nats are going to squeak
That's crazy,
into the
man.
wild card.
That was literally I was gonna do that one.
Were
That
you
was gonna
really?
be my bold
So
prediction. No kidding. Yeah.
so I think they're going to squeak in, and if they do, I think they can make noise.
Yeah.
They have a lot of really, really highly talented players on this roster this year.
Yeah.
And if they get half of them to be pretty solid, I mean, you're it's there's going to have to be 3, maybe even 4 teams in that division that make the postseason for them to do it. But I think they could do it. And once you get to the postseason, if people are locked in, I think they could make it a round or two.
Yeah. I guess the case for them to make the playoffs, like what would have to go right? A lot of things, probably a lot of things would have to go wrong for one of the Mets, Phillies, or Braves. If
Yeah.
not, like two of those teams would probably have to really underperform. And then the Nets um, essentially get major breakouts from James Wood, um,
A return to
Dylan
form from
Cruz.
CJ Abrams.
DJ Abrams becomes the guy he was in the first half last year. Luis Garcia basically continues doing what he did last
And
year.
you're going to have to see Mackenzie Gore continue to improve. You're going to have to get Cade Cavalli for a full season in good. You're going to like there's a lot of things that have to go right.
Yeah.
I don't know, the vibes are good over there right now. I'm liking
Yeah,
it.
especially with the young hitters like that. It's a pretty exciting group of players they have there. And if they have some nice surprises, then it could be pretty cool.
So my other bold prediction, I had a second one prepared, and I couldn't decide how far I wanted to go with this. I think I'm going to dial this one back a little. The White Sox are not going to lose 100 games.
That is pretty bold, I would say. Like they were quite bad. And
I
I was
mean,
just like,
my other option was going to be they're not going to finish last place.
okay, that's pretty bold.
Yeah. So I
All right,
dialed it
well,
back.
I guess convince me. Like, why would that happen?
That they
Because I just
didn't
can't see it.
didn't finish in last place.
Right? Yeah.
You'd have to see a collapse from everybody in the Royals not named Bobby Witt. Basically, the Royals pitching staff would have to go back to Michael Wacha being just kind of mid. Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo goes back to being just kind of mid. Cole Reagans is going to be fine, but they didn't add anything to their offense, like at all. They added Mark Canha finally, but like Jonathan India, I'm not buying in on. Joey Weimer, I'm not buying in on. Canha's not enough to fix this offense, and so if the pitching falls apart, Bobby can't do it himself. So I do really believe that there is a chance, no matter how small, that the White Sox could be better than the Royals, but it would require a lot.
Okay.
Like they would both be sub 70 win teams to do that. Or
yes.
Yeah, but
okay. You made more of the case that the Royals are not good than the White Sox any better, but
yeah. There's a couple guys that I do like for the White Sox.
It's definitely bold. I'll give you that.
There's a couple guys I do like for the White Sox, but they just made two really stupid decisions today. I mean, maybe Gus Varland being optioned isn't as stupid, but like they don't have anyone else in the bullpen. Why option Gus Varland? He's shown he's got talent enough to be in the major leagues with the Twins. But then they released was it Brandon Drury?
Yeah, because he's hurt.
Oh, he's hurt.
Yeah, they didn't want to add him to the 40-man roster, so they just cut him.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense then, because he was having a great spring.
No, that's what I was looking at, like news items today. I just saw like Mike Tauchman's hurt, Brandon Drury's hurt, so he got cut.
Tauchman's hurt too.
And then the other guy, Josh Rojas, is going to miss the beginning of the season because he's hurt too. So literally, like their only established guys on their team, other than Benintendi and Robert, are all injured or cut now. So they're like worse. They're basically worse than they were last year in some ways.
They might have a couple guys break out though. Who's the I keep wanting to say Drake Baldwin, but he's the catcher for the A's or the Braves.
Oh, Brooks Baldwin. Are you thinking?
Yeah. I kind of like him.
Yeah, and there's the guys from the trade for Crochet, like Chase Medroth is probably might make the team.
I was going to say Braden Montgomery's a bit far, I think, but yeah. I don't know. That's my second bold prediction. You got a second one that's better than mine?
Not really. I don't really have one. Oh, I got one. I think that both Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer are going to have really good bounce back seasons. And that's against like a lot of odds because they're both really old. They've both had recent injuries and they've both been like worse than they've been in the past. But I think there's like one last good season. It's not like going to be Cy Young caliber, but I think people are going to be sort of surprised by how well they do this year.
Like when you throw all the junk out of the car on your last like gallon of gas just to get a little bit better gas mileage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One last hurrah for Mr. Scherzer and Verlander.
I can see it.
And it's not really a last hurrah, right? Because are these guys really going to ever retire? Like they're going to keep going.
Verlander will pitch next year at 43.
They're going to go to 45. He's literally trying to get the 300 wins, right?
I think so. And how close is he?
He thinks he can get it. He's like 38 wins away or something.
That's going to... I don't know. It's going to take him 3 or 4 seasons.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to pitch to 45.
Yeah. He was a little rough last year. Dang.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I can see
So
it. I believe in
I got to
Scherzer
put a
little
number
bit
on it,
more than
right?
Verlander.
15 wins for Justin Verlander this year, and Max Scherzer strikes out 150.
Dang.
Bold?
Those
Bold
are
enough?
yeah, I'd say that's bold enough.
All right,
I
let's
think
go.
I'll take the 150 Ks before I take the 15 wins. But yeah, I like it.
Okay, cool. Well, that's our season preview. I'm hyped for the season now. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I got my Ludus jersey ready for Thursday. We're going.
Let's go. Yeah, so we'll be back next Sunday to talk about opening weekend, and hope you enjoy all the baseball before then, and we'll talk to you then.
If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Getaway Day Pod. If you enjoy card collecting, check out our sister YouTube channel at Getaway Day Cards.